Look, the trend in Australia has been fantastic, but we are going into winter. We've come out of our summer, so life won't be quite as easy. And further, if business can move at light speed compared to governments are well-intentioned, efficient, good people, but they'll take months, if not years. Business to business can take days, if not weeks. And so we stepped in as a business provider to a business provider. We utilized a fantastic relationship, which started on ocean genomics. The chairman of BGI is absolutely fascinated as flourishing oceans. Our oceans initiative is to determine what life exists in the ocean through cell sequencing, through cell genomics, and we're able to use that, our relationship with a terrific man to shore up these magnificent supplies for Australia. And I'd have to say he came under intense sovereign and commercial pressure. I know Minderoo Foundation did as well. And our supply line survived, and we were able to get this very rare equipment and reagents in record time.
Mr. Forrest, it's Dan here in Perth. Great to get you on today. First of all, how do you expect these tests to be rolled out across the country, and what difference do you hope that they'll make?
Dan, they are being rolled out as we speak. All of these 11 master laboratories are in Australia. 9 are being commissioned. The other 2 are being installed. We didn't want to announce anything. There have been other governments who know that the only way through this without a vaccine is testing. We didn't want to announce it until we actually had everything in the country, so we could announce what we have done instead of what we hope to do. And getting hold of this equipment is so hard. And what we have now is every state in Australia has the capacity, abundant capacity. It's probably weaponized even more than it needs to fully test for this virus, to be able to work out quickly where it is, to isolate only the virus and not the entire population, and to end the virus, not your economy.
And Minderoo is taking all of this on the balance sheet, so a significant risk for you, Mr. Forrest. Why did you feel it was necessary for you and Nicola to step in here and to take responsibility for such a major issue? And what's the personal financial implications at your end?
Dan, it was really a matter of no choice. If we went for approval from government, it would have taken a very long time. We did go to our board of directors for $320 million of financial exposure, of balance sheet exposure, and we have used, I think, it's safe to say, every cent of that. Now, we are under reimbursement arrangements with the state and federal governments, but we had to take that risk that those machines would both come in and would work. And it really took the power of business and the good of business to get that job done and get that job done super fast, because without a vaccine, it's really the only way out of jail.
Andrew, it's Hadley out in Abu Dhabi. I want to ask you, when it comes to what happens next, you suggested that there needs to be an inquiry into COVID-19, but it shouldn't just focus on China. There was so much criticism in the last several months about China, giving equipment where it wasn't needed, or equipment that was faulty, test kits that didn't work. How do you see this playing out?
Hadley, it's a great question. I think China's simply done its best. If it provided nothing, it would have been absolutely screamed at. So it had to switch on huge production facilities and try and help the world out to as best it can. I haven't called for an inquiry at all. What I have said is, if there needs to be one, let's make sure it's apolitical. Let's make sure it's scientifically and academically grounded. It's driven by the science, by the academics. And let's also ensure that there's not a political dog in this race. I would say, even though we've put Australia into a phenomenal position now, countries all around us are going to and are suffering, and we should be doing everything we can to help them. We should focus on that. An inquiry will take up enormous resources, and if it's politically motivated, well, let's just make sure it isn't by saying, right, let's gear up for a COVID-19 inquiry, but not for a China inquiry. I don't think that's remotely necessary. I think if governments around the world want a COVID inquiry, we keep it at that, and let's hold it after the US presidential election, so that we're all not under pressure from people who want to stay camping or want to camp in the White House and use Beijing and China as a reason to stay there or get there. Hold it after the U.S.
Do you think that U.S. President Donald Trump using China as a scapegoat could get him reelected, given the current environment and the fact that we haven't really heard from Joe Biden in months?
Well, if you look at the president's pre-election speeches, China was every second word. It helped get him into power. I'm sure Joe Biden will come out in his election just as strong. Let's not have China in particular, nor COVID-19 at all, used as a whipping post for the U.S. presidential election. I don't believe it should be. This is a global matter. We should be focusing on all countries working together. We're in this together. We need to be utterly collegiate, to cooperate like crazy, like you've seen China and Australia just do this morning, and help each other out.